It is a pleasure interviewing Mr. McMahon again in our Alba Live TV, and we are thankful for your time today, as we know you have very busy schedule. We are especially grateful that you are very good of the Albanian community. Mr. McMahon is an American politician and attorney serving as the district attorney for Richmond County, which is coextensive with Staten Island. In April 2024, Mr. McMahon was sworn as the president of the District Attorneys Association of the State of New York. Mr. McMahon is a former U.S. representative for New York City from 2009 until 2011 and a former member of the New York City Council. My first question to you today is if Staten Island is the safest borough in New York City and the safest community of its size in the nation?
Sure. I'm happy to report that the answer to both questions is yes.
Thank you.
But first, let me welcome you, Cosetta, here to our office and to thank you and Jamal and everyone at Alba Life for your 25 years plus of connecting the Albanian diaspora here in Staten Island together within itself, but also to the larger community and making, the Albanian community is so important to us here in Staten Island. It's an important part of Staten Island and has grown dramatically over these nearly 3 decades that you've been working, connecting people. So I thank you for that. And yes, as I said, the answer to both questions is a resounding yes. Staten Island is by far the safest borough in the city of New York. And even more importantly, the safest city of 500,000 people, if it were a city, in the United States of America. Now, we've seen in the last year alone, in the 7 major index crimes, a decrease of nearly 10% in the crimes committed here on Staten Island, and that continues to, year over year, continue to come down. And that's good news for Staten Islanders, and it's a tribute to the great work of our New York City Police Department and the men and women who work in my office, our office, if you will, Staten Island's District Attorney's Office, the prosecutors and the support staff who work tirelessly to keep their families, their neighbors, their community, or the community that they represent safe. So I'm very proud of the work that we've done.
Thank you. The Staten Island's drug epidemic has taken the lives of hundreds of people. How is your team working to end the increase of abuse and addiction in our borough?
Yeah, so when we came in 2016, when I started my first term, became apparent to us very quickly that we were in the throes of really a 5 alarm fire when it came to addiction, illness, opioid addiction, heroin addiction, and overdoses that were caused by it. And so we set up to bring precision prosecution to go after the drug dealers and hold them accountable. If you sell drugs on Staten Island, you will be caught and you will be prosecuted and you will go to prison. But at the same time, you have to deal with the issue from if you will, from the demand side. People suffer from addiction. It's an illness. So we set up different programs, including our HOPE program, which gives individuals an offer of treatment at the time of arrest if they're only using, they're not dealers, and they're offered treatment instead of arrest. And if they follow through with that, then we will avoid the arrest and dismiss the case. So that's been very successful. Over 1,000 Staten Islanders have taken advantage of that. And we do see a decline in overdoses year over year. That's the good news. The bad news is that close to 60 Staten Islanders have died this year from drug overdoses, and that's way too many. And at the same time in our country, 90,000 people have died from it. Fentanyl is a big cause for that. But through precision prosecution against the dealers, helping people who suffer from addiction illness to get treatment, through a lot of community support campaigns and awareness campaigns, we are working to really stem the tide of this illness. But a lot of work needs to be done, just like with crime, as I said before. Yes, numbers are down, they continue to come down, but we won't rest in our office until there's no crime. We want to put ourselves out of business, if you will, and that's what we strive to do.
Thank you. I read in many newspapers that you are known to be
So a large portion of what we do is, if someone commits a serious violent crime, we're going to prosecute them and put them in prison. I'll be very clear about that. If you seriously hurt another individual, whether it's with your hands, with a gun, with a motor vehicle, if you engage in domestic violence, if you sell drugs, if you possess or use a gun, you will be prosecuted seriously on Staten Island. But many of the crimes that we see being committed, especially the low-level crimes, vagrancy, harassment, petty larceny, low-level drug deals, these crimes are driven more by mental illness and addiction illness and poverty more than they are by criminality in someone's heart. So what we'll try to do is we'll hold those people accountable who commit those crimes, but we try to steer them into a more meaningful outcome. So if you suffer from addiction illness, we try to get you treatment. If you have mental health issues, we try to get you treatment, counseling, maybe medication, get you back on track. And the list goes on and on. And we've created within this office an alternative to incarceration unit. About 40% of the arrests on Staten Island, just a little bit less, get an offer of alternative to incarceration, something I'm very proud of. And every discussion we have, every case we discuss, every briefing that we do looks at the victim, looks at the community, but also looks at the person accused of the crime to see what's driving that person to commit that conduct. And we try to engage, and every arrest that's made on Staten Island is reviewed by my alternative to incarceration team to see what's behind the curtain, if you will. And that to me is what a modern prosecutor does. That if someone commits a serious crime, they'll be prosecuted. If we can stop someone from continuing to commit these low-level crimes, which are really a big concern in the city of New York now, then we can do that. And that to me is what a modern prosecutor does.
To tell the truth, I never had conversation with modern prosecutors. You are first one.
Thank you.
Thank you. In your opinion, are the arrests and the number of victims up?
Say again, oh, the number of victims up?
Yes,
No,
and also arrests.
no, arrests, we continue to keep arrests up at a high level, but overall, we've brought down the number of victims of crime, and we've brought the number of crimes down as well. So overall, as the crimes come down, the number of victims come down. But to us, you hear so many discussions about reforms to the criminal justice system, say progressive prosecution, whatever it wants to be called. And in those discussions, unfortunately, the victims are often overlooked or forgotten, not in Staten Island. When I came into office, there were 4 victim advocates. Now we have 14. Every victim of a crime on Staten Island, whether it's domestic violence, sexual abuse, crimes against children, which are sort of the traditional areas where you have victim advocacy. But if you own a store and you're burgled, if your car is taken, if you're assaulted on the street, you are connected with a victim advocate who will help you deal with the emotional impact and the physical impact of the crime, but also help you get back on track, maybe help you file claims with your insurance company, help you file claims with state victim services and other agencies that can maybe help you. We work very closely with the Family Justice Center, which is right next door, to help victims get their lives back on track, to help them deal with the immediate issues, to help navigate the legal system so they get that support from day one. So victim advocacy is central to the work that we do in this office. Thank you.
What is your team doing related to street crime and gun violence?
So gun violence is down dramatically on Staten Island. It's down in the whole city of New York, but we are part of a joint task force that has a meeting every day to drill down into detail into the cases where gun arrests are made or where someone is suspected of using a gun, so that we can really, with precision, look at these cases and prosecute the people who possess or use guns. And in Staten Island, you don't get a program if you are arrested with a gun. You're going to get jail or prison time. We're very serious about it. So deterrence, accountability, and prevention, those are the 3 pillars of our approach. And the numbers bear it out that gun violence is way down on Staten Island, as is serious crimes and homicides as well with a gun. We've only had 1 this year. And one too many, always, don't get me wrong, we never rest on our laurels, but our work on gun violence is really bearing fruit.
Oh, I feel more safe.
Good.
According to you, is gun-related crime up in Staten Island among the 14 to 18
Uh,
years old?
Yes, it is. One area that we still, that we focus a lot of our energy is on youth crime and crimes against youth. Um, in 2018, a law that came into effect in 2020 called Raise the Age came into effect, and and it was well intended, I guess, because it wanted to say that 14 to 18-year-olds uh, if they commit a crime, maybe their life shouldn't be changed to the negative forever. But the law was terribly written, and its impact is severe. For instance, in Staten Island in 2020, we had three cases where people in that age group used a gun. And last year we had 11 arrests for age in that age group. So that's close to a 400% increase. And we've seen recently young people in that age group trying to take a gun into a local high school, shooting a gun in the schoolyard. We've seen a great increase in the victims of crime being in that age group as well. Because what the law did is it removed any accountability from that cohort, and that was a big mistake. Yes, if someone commits a low-level crime as a teenager, they shouldn't have their life changed forever, but they still have to be held accountable. What's happening now is they're not even getting a slap on the wrist. They're getting a pat on the back, going to family court. We're not prosecuting these cases, and they're getting a message that it's okay to be violent, to sell drugs, to pick up a gun, to use that gun. And that's the wrong message for young people. They have to know that society does not condone that. Their safety is important to us. And the victims of their crimes are always young people as well. We had a 14-year-old boy last year killed by a stray bullet in a schoolyard in Stapleton. That's unacceptable. And we will continue to advocate in Albany in my role as state president of the DA's Association to change that law. And in the meantime, we do everything we can. I set up a juvenile justice unit here. We are trying to prosecute those cases that need to be prosecuted, but it is a big challenge for us still.
Thank you. Moving our topic to the Albanian community, how would you describe your relationship with this community?
Well, let me first tell you that I'm working on my Albanian, so let me try. Përshëndetje.
Faleminderit,
There
faleminderit.
you go.
Përshëndetje, it's a very hard word
Thank you very much. So
to
as
pronounce.
you can see, I'm working on my Albanian. And as I said at the beginning of our discussion, Cosetta, that the Albanian community is a very important community here on Staten Island. Many homeowners, business owners, children in our schools, the numbers continue to increase. And we know it's an interesting diaspora, right? Because they're not just from Albania. Some are also from Montenegro, from Kosovo, and from other countries in the Balkan region. And so they bring not only that Albanian, say, ethnicity, but also different nationalities to Staten Island. And it really is it's just a beautiful fibers of in the fabric of Staten Island. Many of our businesses, some of the best restaurants on Staten Island, which are always near and dear to my heart, are run by Albanian small business people. So we appreciate that. And it's shown even in my office. I have more than a half dozen Albanian Americans working in the office now. One of my rising felony assistants is a Albanian American, a young lady who's doing extremely well as a prosecutor. And we have folks in support staff as well. And we're always looking for more, especially attorneys. So if there are young lawyers out there who are thinking of a career in prosecution, let us know. But I'm just thrilled that so many Albanian Americans have decided to make Staten Island their home, raise their families here, invest in their businesses here, and that's something that's very important to me. And again, some of our best staff members are part of that community, so I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you so much, really. When you talk and about appreciation about our community is very important to us to work together and to go for more.
Sure.
Thank you. Lastly, what is your message to the Albanian community this Christmas and New Year's?
You know, to the Albanian community and to all the communities in Staten Island, everyone in Staten Island, the message from our office is Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and of course, Happy New Year. And we will continue to work with the Albanian community and all the communities on Staten Island, with our partners in the police department and the incredible men and women who work in this office here, to bring down those crime numbers even more, to make the community feel safe, to be out in the community with our community partnership team. So I've got a team of folks out there going to meetings and attending events and bringing back the messages to me what the community is saying, but also bringing our message forth. And so if anybody wants us, they should to appear somewhere, they should let us know. And of course, I attend as many as I can myself. And also tell folks, listen, if you want to know what's going on in the Staten Island District Attorney's Office, go to our website, statenislandda.org, and sign up for our weekly newsletter, the Gazzetta, and it'll tell you what's going on in the office. It'll tell you what's going on in Staten Island, and it's just you put your email in, and you'll get a report every week about what your DA's office is doing, and I think you'll be amazed at the work that's going on here on behalf of the Albanian community on Staten Island, but of all Staten Islanders as well.
Thank you so much. We are very thankful for our strong relationship and appreciate your time sitting with us, and we wish you a wonderful holiday season and all the best for 2025.
Thank you. May it be a great year for all of us, and thank you for your interest in our work.
Të dashur bashkëdhetar, dëgjuat intervistën me krye prokurorin e shtetit të New Yorkut dhe presidentin e gjithë llojerëve të New Yorkut nga televizioni Alba Live, për televizionin Alba Live, Kozeta Zylo, New York.
Nderuar teleshikues të televizionit Ura, ishte kënaqësi e madhe që pata ftesën nga televizioni Alba Life, zotëri Kemal Zula dhe zonja e tij, të marrë pjesë në një intervistë duke intervistuar në prokurorin e shtetit të New Yorkut, Michael. Kjo për mua ishte një kënaqësi e madhe, pra edhe një herë Alba Life ju falenderoj për ftesën e juaj dhe u dëshiroj të tanëve bashkëqytetarëve tonë ku gjenden në katër anët e botës, gëzuat festën e Krishtlindjes të komunitetit katolik, gëzuar vitin e ri dhe falenderit edhe një herë bashkëdhetar nga Staten Island për parim papraniku për televizionin Ura dhe Alba Life. Falenderit.